We're back endurance racing on my racing lawnmower, and in today's video I'm running a 2-hour endurance race completely solo, and we've definitely got an uphill battle here. We've had to modify our lawnmower, race against machines with much more powerful engines, and you'll see it didn't quite all go to plan. Here we are then, ready to get started for this 2-hour endurance. You can see I'm absolutely pumped for this. This is something a little bit different, although it will look similar to my normal videos. This is a Mower Madness race. So they are a separate club to the British Lawn Mower Racing Association that I normally race with. And so things are a bit different today. And the first one is the race format. So this is a 2-hour long endurance race and I'm running it solo. So you can see here as we come around to finish the warm-up lap, we're here with Algridus, a fellow Group 3, so someone who has also made it over from the British club, and we are getting started. There we are, through the Union Jack flag, and we're sending it. Now, you might notice that this is a super fast track, long sweeping corners as we go for the move around the outside. We just got a little bit of a better jump then. Algridus has been really fast all weekend, but we managed to get the jump on him there. So as we're coming through this first lap, you can see here there's some long straights. Algridus gets us on the straight, so does someone else who nips around the cone to make the move, and then there's this fast little S's section up on the top of the hill, and as we go down the hill through these long sweeping S's, you can see lots of long sweeping corners here with some negotiable track limits. As we come around this left, this was sort of a really long left, you were just clinging on here as a few mowers go past. Now there are going to be some mowers here with massive engines. So Mower Madness, they run up to 20 horsepower, whereas we only run 13 horsepower. But we have some friends that we are racing for pride against. Now, Pugs to my left there is one of those. So he's on a Group 4 running a similar engine to mine, 13 horsepower Lonsin, or it might be a Honda, I think. And we are battling it out for pride here. Lots of the other guys with bigger engines are going to win this race, but it was fun to see who could win out of the British lot. And as we come down here, you can see, look at those other mowers. They're big 18 horsepower engines. They've got loads and loads of power on the straights, and so it's going to be about carrying speed through the corners. And my Lawn Bug, this slightly smaller model, the Group 3, whereas everyone else is running tractors, Group 4's bigger, larger mowers. We do have a benefit around like the mid-apex. We're a little bit lighter and we come out the corner a little bit better, but down the straights the guys will get us. So we're battling here in this pack at the start of the race, sorting out the order. You can see a couple of people are slow, some are fast. Everyone's battling to find their position throughout this 2-hour-long endurance race, because at this point, track position does matter because you can really lose time behind people. So as we come through these S's, you can see it's super bumpy, this track. In places actually, some of it was smooth, some of it was quite bumpy, and as we settle into this race, I know I've got 2 hours in front of me, so I'm just really trying to settle into my groove, find a rhythm that I can maintain throughout the race for 2 hours. Whereas I'm normally racing to 8 or 10 minutes in a British event, this is going to be 2 hours solo. So we're really settling into this race. As we come through here, you'll see there are 3 Westwood Lawn Bugs, the same mower as I'm on. Now, there's myself, Richard, my brother-in-law, who is normally my teammate. We raced the 14-hour race together, and then Algridus, who I've had battles with on this channel. Now, we are all similar pace, so I knew these guys were out there. Algridus I'd already passed at the beginning. I think he had a little issue that he was nursing. I think he also pitted to get that issue solved, so we had about a lap on Algridus from the start here, and then also Richard was up ahead, my brother-in-law, so we were trying to hunt him down at this stage, really finding our groove. I knew I did have some pace. Qualifying and practice did say that I had the pace on some of these guys, and so I was really trying to upset some of this order. You know, it's a 2-hour-long race. Lots can go right and lots can go wrong for people, and so I knew if I just plugged along, got to the end of the race, we could find a result here. So as you come around this long right sweeping hander, I can see there's a really big battle up in front, and we're just trying to settle in and find our groove and close in on them bit by bit. Now, when I'm on the mower, it's quite a physical exercise, and so you're trying to always have some goal in mind, some mower in front that you're trying to chase. You're trying to just see, oh, I think I gained a tenth, 2 tenths there. Now, you can't be sure. I've got no computer on here, but you just start to feel the distances and whether you're gaining or losing. So we're definitely gaining through that bottom section there. And so we've got this group to navigate up in front. There's a long left-hander. It's super bumpy. There's a couple of lines. So I try it around the outside, and there we are. There's Algridus up in front on the grey lawn bug. He's definitely our target. I believe this is to lap him. You can see we gain through the corners on some of the faster, more powerful mowers, but as soon as they get their foot down on the straight, they are gone. So we're really we're really figuring it out here. Sometimes you can make a move and then it's really hard to hold it as you go down the longer straights and they start to get it. You can see here everyone is running with the negotiable track limits. At the time I didn't know what to do here. Do I just keep doing what everyone else is doing, or do I hold some pride and go around all the cones? But I thought I'm not going to lose time on these guys. So we have up in front on the number 50, that is Pugs. He's running a similar mower to mine, so group 4 rather than my group 3, but similar engine. He's also down on power compared to the rest of us, and so I knew this might be a battle on pace here, so trying to figure it out whether we can go around the outside there and try and make the move. You can then see Richard up in front. So on the white and orange kit, as Pugs goes for a move around the outside, we're going side by side through this kink. And again, we got to leave each other room. Really nice, fair racing there. That was good fun. I love some of these close battles, and this track really leads to some high-speed battles, much higher speed than we're used to. But as I was saying about Richard, he is up in front, so we're trying to keep our eye on him. He's got a couple of mowers between us, and just really try and gain. He's currently leading this race of the Group 3s, the race of the lawn bugs, which is, again, is only for pride, but we're trying to battle this out. Now, I mentioned this is a higher speed course. On some of our other videos, it's really, really close, tight circuits on smaller fields where there's lots of really intricate hairpins, big braking zones, some longer straights, but you're always coming out of slow corners. You'll notice on this track, there are no slow corners. We are barely using the brake pedal. You get a lot of engine braking, so you can just lift. So I'm barely touching the brakes on this circuit. And so we have to gear up to make this work, to not over rev the engine. So I'm running a big gear where normally I'm running a 21 tooth or something like that, 22. This is a 32, I believe. So a big gear. And so I had to make a bit of a change. I had to go for a longer belt. So we run similar to timing chain belts, and I had to go for a different one. As we look up the inside, we've managed to catch Richard and follow him through this section. He has definitely got some pace here, and so we're trying to chase him down, trying to find the sections when we're quicker, when he's slower. We definitely look at that up the hills, and in the long straights, we know we're a bit quicker there, just learning from pulling up on him there. He's running a slightly different belt system, so that probably is contributing to it. As we go round the outside of this top long left-hander, now this does mean I'm out of position slightly as we go through here, so I'm a bit later on the throttle on the bumpy ground there. As Richard is right on the back of us, we're in this really nice battle here. It's always great to have close racing on these lawnmowers. That's what it's all about. You know, you're racing something that's unconventional, but it definitely is still true to life racing. That is what it's about. So we're just really trying to, you can see I'm stretching my hand there. Already my hand is cramping up just a little bit. Again, it's preventative, not trying to fix the issue. My hand wasn't too bad, but I was just trying to stay on top of it. As we come through this section down the long straight. Now listen here. You will hear I'm lifting slightly on the straights. Now that is because I don't want to over rev this engine. They have no rev limiter. They just will bounce the valves. And so you can blow up an engine if you over rev it too much. So I'm being really quite careful, knowing this is an endurance race, and that engine, we ran a 14-hour race on it a few months before this. We want to be quite careful with it. Now it's quite a good engine. I'm finding I'm having good power against these guys. Particularly you can see Pugsy behind me on the 50 there. I think he's running a Tecumseh engine, similar power, but you can see we've got really good torque, enjoying that power down the straight. As we
come through these S's, we're gaining on someone. You can see it's really rutted there. It felt weird. The mower felt weird. It was kind of in tram tracks and it didn't completely go where you're steering. Now, you'll see Pugs there takes the optional cone to try and go around the outside. I'm not having any of that. If you're going to cut the course, don't make a move doing it, was my approach in my helmet at the time. Now, fair play. He's playing the game, not the player here. But I managed to hold the position and carry the momentum up this long hill. This doesn't look like it on the camera, but it's quite a long gradual hill up there. And as we jump on the brakes just a little bit to turn the mower into this long left-hander, it sort of falls away off camber. You can see that other mower running slightly wide on the bumps. Now we're debating what to do. Do we go for a send there? There's not really enough of a braking zone to do so. We're just settling in behind. Now this is a Mower Madness mower, so a Group 4 running likely a bigger engine. I imagine a 16 or 18 horsepower, something like that. And so we're doing quite well to keep up here. I'm thinking that their mowers are made for endurance racing, so often they're bulkier, they're stronger, and they're likely a little bit heavier. So I'm definitely capitalizing on my Group 3 being smaller and lighter. Now, I mentioned about my modifications. That will come to bite us in a bit, in that we're running out of our comfort zone on this longer track, and we've done everything we could to prep our mowers, both Richard and I working as a team here, to try, well, we're racing against each other, but we prepped together to try and just get them to work on this longer format. So 2-hour races. You can see it's a super bumpy circuit. Last race we did here, I broke my seat, a couple of the welds went, and also once we fixed the seat, the front suspension, so there isn't any sprung suspension, but the front setup, I had a weld break, just down to the punishment of this circuit for this long. And so, yeah, we've done some preparation, and you'll see some of it might come back to bite us in a bit. But as we're settling into this race, we are currently leading our little race for pride of the Group 3s. I am in front. Algridas had an issue early on, and Richard we've overtaken in all of that. So I was just really trying to settle in, keeping an eye out behind. Again, this circuit was so big that it was hard to keep a track of everyone. Pugs goes back past. Again, he's kind of in our battle of pride. He's running a smaller engine like we are, but is on the wider, more stable mower. So you'll see there, through the long corners particularly, he's carrying a fair bit more speed. He's just on a more stable platform. The Group 3s, as I adjust the camera there, the Group 3s do want to tip up, and so round some of those bumpier corners you have to lift a little bit more. But the tractors, the Group 4s, they can just really slide across it, stick the tail out and slide through those bumps and deal with it. So you might be wondering why things are so different here. So I've mentioned we've got faster mowers on bigger engines, wider different tracks, slightly different formats. So now we typically run on slightly smaller fields, twistier tracks. We find for us that works for better racing, and we sometimes it's limited by the size of the fields as well, in that this is an absolutely massive field. Now you'll see here these guys are all running Group 4s, and they run in endurance races. So you run your whole 2-hour race just on the Sunday, and these mowers, because they've got a little bit bigger fields, bigger circuits, they can run bigger engines. But what you'll find is that, well, we found at the 14-hour race where some of these guys entered in the tourist class, that over the time, it doesn't mean you're that much faster carrying a bigger engine, because often they have great torque. You'll see flew past there, but not much more power, like not much more straight line speed at the end of the straight. So overall, we like the format we run, but it's great to travel around and try some other clubs. So this Mower Madness race was really something quite different. It was a very different skill to carry speed through these long corners, particularly as the track changed through the 2 hours. So I found it massively rutted up. There are lines that worked at the start of the race that didn't work at the end of the race, and it was really a different experience and a lot of fun doing both. But that is why the mowers are made, are built for different things. You can see there that Kawasaki painted mower absolutely flew past. Now he's got a bigger gearing, so because he can run faster on the straights, it means he can carry a bigger gearing because he's got more power with his bigger engine. So we're really having a battle here. This chap with the Lightning McQueen liveried mower, we're having a little battle with him as well. Now I've spotted Richard, our competitor, up front now. He was running a slightly smaller fuel tank than I was. I was running a 4.5 litre, which is the maximum we can have in our rules. Richard is running a 2 litre sprint tank in that he didn't have another one. So he's having to carve this race up into 3 stops, so 4 30-minute sections, whereas I was hoping to go for a 2-stop, a 40... what's that work hours? 3 40-minute sections. Now this is it's not Formula 1 levels of strategy, but I knew I could go that much longer. And so as we've got Richard up ahead, he has to concede to another mower, and we stick it around the outside. Now as I turn in, someone else has stuck their nose in there, so I have to leave him room, and that means I'm out on the dirty, bumpy stuff, and so Richard sends it back around the outside. We've got a end-to-end racing here, if that's a thing. And we're really super close, and so trying to find out who's going to come out on top. I have caught here, but I've got to make the move stick on Richard as we've got another larger Group 4 go around the outside. Number 99 here, is that Crash Test Dummies livery? I think it might have been. You can see he's also running a hydration pack, so he can run the whole thing with some water as he riding it like a horse as we go around here. So Richard, number 185 in front. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm stronger, where he's weaker. And now I think I'm gaining a little bit down the bottom of the straight as we get back on the throttle. This is where I noticed here, he starts to pull out a little bit of a lead as I run a slightly different line. I found that was working. I was starting to get an issue where I was getting spluttering. So as I got further down my fuel tank, because the whole thing is only gravity fed, I've got less fuel pressure. And so over some of the bumps, I was finding I was getting just that odd misfire, that odd splutter. And so I didn't have quite enough power. Up the uphills, I found it was doing okay. The fuel tank was sort of tilted back, I had a bit more fuel pressure. Whereas down some of the downhills and then up the other side, I was finding I was having an issue. So, but nevertheless, we're right on the back of Richard here. As we come around this sweeping section, I'm having a look around the outside. I fought against that. He opens up the inside, so I try and get back through, get on the throttle early, and we do make the move. So really happy with that move as we try and run away up the hill here. But again, I'm having slight spluttering issues, so that allows Richard to pull right back on the back of me here as I'm giving my arm a rest. It was definitely through that section where there was a combination of the fact that there's really fast corners. I had some new tyres on, so I had a bit more grip than I was used to. And also the track, the mud, it's like a racing circuit is, honestly, where sometimes the mud can be wetter, and so there's less grip, and so there's less load on you. Sometimes it's drier, and so it's dusty, and so you slide a bit more. But this was that middle ground where it was like perfectly tacky, so I was finding like through some of these long corners, the strain on my arms holding onto that steering wheel was actually quite high. It's like if you've been rental karting, you'll know that the steering is really quite stiff. Here, you're not only turning it and jacking the mower up with some caster, but you're also fighting against the bumps. You have quite a lot of bump steer on these mowers, and on mine particularly, that's definitely a weakness I know this mower has. And so we're working on that for this year. But my arms are really taking a punishment here. And also, something I've found throughout this year is that the seat really makes a difference. If you have a great seat that's shaped right, that is comfortable, it holds you in a little bit better. As we have a little drag race, I think that's with is that a Toyota Yaris up the hill? As we have a great little battle. It was quite interesting to see people peering out of the cars alongside us. But yeah, as I was saying about the seat, it definitely matters. If you've got a great seat that holds you in, you're carrying less load on your arms. Now, my seat was good, it wasn't great, and so I was having to really cling on as Posh sends it around the outside. I stick my arm up to say goodbye. I think that's what I was gesturing anyway, because it was an absolute send around the outside, but fair play to the guy. He really carried way more momentum through that corner than I did. As we've got a yellow flag up ahead, there's only a couple of marshal posts normally when we're Lawn Mower Racing, so you're keeping an eye out. There you are on the right. So there's the quad bike who is going to rescue a stricken mower. Now, they have a quad bike here that will push you back if you have any issues. Now, that was alarming. So Algridis, you'll notice he had some issues earlier on, and he's just made the move for the lead. Now, I didn't know this at the time. I thought he was unlapping himself, but this is really quite concerning. I knew this, is that, look, he's just driven away from me. He's appeared from nowhere. I didn't see him coming from behind, whereas normally you take a couple of peers every so often to see if anyone is gaining on you. But our Greedus has just popped out of nowhere and then just driven off on the same mower, similar tyres, similar setup, similar engine. He's just quicker. Now, so here we're just really trying to notice, where is our Greedus quicker? Now, I knew that my spluttering issue up this hill was pretty bad, and so he was going to be gaining time there. But you'll see, as we skipped ahead a lap there, he's just gone. So that was concerning, but I was trying to get my head down and just stay in this race, keep plugging away with some laps. But my spluttering issue was getting so bad as Richard comes back past us. Now, he has done a pit stop, whereas we haven't. We're going to be doing that in a minute. So that wasn't a move for position. But again, this is concerning. I'm losing time to the people around me, to the people I really want to beat in our race of pride here. As we come up the top of the hill, I knew this was where my engine was a bit stronger. I wasn't getting the spluttering issues. As we gain a little bit of time, I think Richard wasn't quite geared as well as he'd like. He had to use the gears he had. So again, this is really a battle where your machines are quite different in performance. You are better and worse against some corners than the people you're racing against. So it's really trying to find the space, find the right time to pounce and to make a move. Now, I knew up the top corner here was where I was normally best, but you can see I'm just losing time on Richard down to this spluttering issue. Now, I think he was having a similar issue, but he's just had his tank full in his pit stop. So he hasn't really got this issue. Now, at this top corner where I'm normally a little bit better than Richard, I do gain a little bit, but not as much as I would have liked in this race. So we're about half an hour through. And yeah, things went well at the beginning, but are starting to fade away. I know I'm not having the pace I probably should. As we go around, there's another Group 2. That's Ian. He actually did the seniors race, the hour, and then now he's doing this 2-hour race. As we look ahead, you'll see over on the right, or you might not quite see, my father-in-law and pit mechanic Paul signal me in. So that means we've done 40 minutes. My tank's nearly empty. Come in this lap. So I'm just trying to get this lap done. Now, obviously, this is where my spluttering issue was the worst. I've got the least fuel in the tank. I knew I'd have a little bit in there. From the 14-hour race, we knew this tank would go about 45 minutes, 50 minutes out of push. Obviously, the circuits are different, but you know roughly from that. So I've got a bit of fuel in the tank, but really this issue was super bad. I was getting loads and loads of spluttering, so we're just trying to get our head down and finish this lap. As we come round up to the last corner, where you're going to see a Formula 1 level pit stop here. Now, obviously, no changing tyres like in Formula 1. These tyres will go all season, let alone all race. So it's just about filling that fuel tank up. So as we come down the back straight, we're getting a bit of spluttering. Stick your arm up. That's the signal to say I'm coming in the pits. Don't go around the outside so we don't get collected. And just lifting off, I was getting really, really bad spluttering at this point. Now, having to slow down now. There is no specific pit speed limit, but over on the right there, you'll see me getting slightly told off for speeding. And so we slow right down, pull over, and I'm just trying to get that fuel cap. There we are, undone as quick as possible. There's Paul with the fuel, and we took it in here. So Paul with some vital pit mechanic information there. Our Greedus is on our lap, but if I catch up to him, that's for position. So that is our lead battle. If he's behind, he's going to be lapping me. If he's ahead, I'm going to be overtaking him for the lead. So this is really fun in where we've come out. We've got to settle back into this race now. I immediately notice I've got way more power, no spluttering issues. We're really happy with this. We've got another fresh tank, time to go. I was feeling good at this stage. I was really worried at the beginning. I'd never done a 2-hour race on my own. The 14-hour stints at the 45-minute stints at the 14-hour, I knew I was a bit sore, but that track was a bit worse. Here, I've done 40 minutes on my own. I'm feeling good. I've got 2 of these more to go. As we have 360 come around the outside, that is an awesome mower. I've had a go on that thing. That 18 horsepower engine, it absolutely rips. Absolutely incredible performance on that. Also super comfortable to ride around these bumpy circuits compared to this. So we're really making use of that spluttering having gone. We're really feeling good, settling into this race, really happy with how things are going. And then that there, I heard a massive bang. I'm signalling over to the marshals. I know that quad bike is going to be around. Now, I just don't know what has gone wrong. Have I blown this engine? Has a belt gone? Has a throttle cable come off and whipped around? So I'm really just tipping this up, trying to find out what's going on. Now, I'm noticing there's no smoke. I would expect some oil smoke if it was an engine. And I isn't, and immediately I noticed that my belt has gone. This tooth belt, the timing belt is like that for a car. It's just absolutely gone. What you can't see is the very kind member of the safety crew has come with the quad bike and is pushing me back. They've just got a tyre slung on the front of the quad bike so they can push you. And we're trying to find our way back over. Now, I knew this was really bad. I only bought one belt. It was a custom size. I had to buy a slightly bigger belt for my bigger gear for this endurance gearing, and it cost me 50 quid for the belt. And so I knew that I only really wanted to buy one for this race. I've never had one go on me before, and this one, a rock, a piece of flint, a piece of mud must have got up in there, and the belt just absolutely exploded, just disintegrated. And I'd never had that done before. I've never had it go on me, and so I didn't really know what it meant. As we come in here, Rich is in for his pit stop, and I knew that was it.
Oh, we're stuck in.
The belt's gone, and I haven't got a spare.
Oh. How far through the race are we?
And we were 50 minutes into that race. Such a shame. But Richard went on to do really well, came second. Algridis won our little race for pride here. And it was a great race overall, but a real shame that we had a DNF at the end. But make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this. I'm also thinking of doing some workshop content. I'm working on a new mower at the moment through the off season. Let me know if you want to see that. Comment down below. See you in the next one.